So this morning, due to some studying that I'm going to talk to you about, I think I may have discovered a timeline that I've not known before, and I want to remember it. And the best way for me to remember it is to share with others. That's why I'm doing this today. But I will show you why I think I've discovered this. So, in the past, I have proven that there is going to be a nuclear war. That begins the whole process of, number one, the tribulation upon the Gentiles. Yes, I've proven that many times. And number two, the regathering and redemption of all Israel. Okay? Now, I've had two ways of looking at it. It's either going to be caused by Israel being forced to use a Samson option, or Russia declaring that an existential threat and decides they're going to use nukes. All right? Now, is Israel going to use the Samson option? Absolutely. But which one's going to come first? Is it Israel using the Samson option, or is it Russia? Well, if you read Revelation 9, it plainly shows, and we'll go to that in a minute, that the one who wears the ribbon of St. George is going to launch missiles that will destroy, kill a third of men upon the earth. Now, if you don't know what the ribbon of St. George is, you might want to go find out. So, just to make a point here, the sixth shofar. Now, I'm still puzzled about the fifth shofar. But we are looking at we are staring in the face of nuclear war right now. And that's right here. The sixth messenger sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before Jehovah Elohim, not God, God, or Dios or Deus. Okay? Saying to the sixth messenger, which had the shofar, not trumpet, loose the four messengers which are bound in the great river Euphrates, and the four messengers are loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. Let me ask you a question. What weapon does man have that will slay a third of all mankind on the earth inside of a day, an hour, a month, and a day, and a year? There's only one. And it describes it here. And the number of the expedition army of the cavalry was not 200, 2. See what they did here? 200? What? No, 2. 10,000, 10,000. Well, if you literally add it exactly as it says, that would be 40,000. 2, 10,000, 10,000. So 2, 10,000 plus 2, 10,000 is 40,000. Now, how did they come up with 200,000? And I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in the vision. A horse in the vision, it's a vision. And not them, but also to be seated on them, the horses. Not them, as in a human, but something was seated on a horse, had a breastplate. What's breastplate made out of? Iron or steel, or some type of metal. And on his breastplate was fire, jacinth, and brimstone. Go look at Yars Mobile ICBM. I'll pull one up here. Yars ICBM. Okay, let's get the images up. I've done this numerous times. Okay, what we have here is, if I can get the picture up close, and I don't want a video. I'm looking for a picture. Here we go. Well, it's a struggle. So, what we have is the color of fire, red star, check, and jacinth and brimstone. What is the color of brimstone? Yellow. What is the color of jacinth? Let's look at it. All right, images. Now, this one is black, yellow, and red, or orange. Black, yellow, and red, or orange. Okay, close enough. This one is just black and yellow. So the description here is accurate. So if you look at, this is brimstone, so jacinth and brimstone, you're looking at right here on its breastplate was the color of fire, jacinth, and brimstone. Check, check, check. And what did these things do? And by these three, what was it? Jacinth, fire, jacinth, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions. And out of its mouth issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. Head wide like a lion, and there is the mouth right here. And out of its mouth came fire, smoke, and brimstone. And by these three was a third part of men killed by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone. And it describes that their power is in their mouth and in their tails. Yes, the power is in the mouth. The mouth sits right here, and in the tail. The tail is right here when it stands up. Okay, but that's, so what I want to read to you, I'm just going to show you several headlines. I'm not even going to look at the articles. Just look at the headlines. This was after well, I'll look at this one right here on the hill, okay? This was after Ukraine sent drones over to Russia to destroy their nuclear bombers. And that's I typed in Russia's nuclear triad threatened by Ukraine, and this is what pulls up. Okay? Ukraine takes the war to Russia. Have the nukes launched yet? This is the Hill posting this. Have the nukes launched yet? As if they were expecting Russia to launch nukes. The Guardian, Kremlin and Trump aides raise nuclear war fears after Ukraine drone strike. CSIS, Center for Strategic and International whatever. Ukraine drone swarms are destroying Russia's nuclear bombers. Yes, now Russia's nuclear triad is threatened. And of course, and rightly so, I'm not taking any side in this. I'm a spectator, and I know that this great war of the Gentiles nuking each other is prophesied in Zechariah 14. It's prophesied there. It says Jehovah himself is going to cause them to do this. That's what he says. So, this nuclear war is going to happen. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. So what happens after that? What happens after that? This is where I bring in my timeline. What I believe is a timeline for Mashiach. And I saw one word. It's amazing what one word will do when you bring it out, and will make the picture clearer. I'll show you that word in a minute. So I've got a timeline. Number one, 1/3 of men killed by what appears to be nukes in an hour, a day, and a month of a year. And this is when the distress on the Gentiles begin, as told in Matityahu, I believe it's right here, 24. Okay, this is when the distress upon the Gentiles begins. But it's not, okay, so right here it says, verse 29, immediately after, not immediately, on the flip side. You see what King James Version did? On the flip side, but and now. After the tribulation after what tribulation? Israel's tribulation is over. After Israel's tribulation is over, the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. This is described in Yoel 2 as blood, fire, and palm-like columns of smoke. Blood in the earth, blood in the sky, and palm-like columns of smoke. I have, and I will do it again. We will look up a nuclear explosion. All right. There it is. Blood in the sky, blood in the earth, and palm-like column of smoke. Ding, ding, ding. Can you see it? You can see it in this one. You can most definitely see it in this one. Yoel 2. Last 2 verses, 3 verses. Read it. Now, I'm losing track of my thoughts here. All right, so we go back here. Distress on the Gentiles begin. So we go to Matityahu 24, and I will read this to you first, and then I'll prove it to you in Matityahu 24. Yehoshua HaMashiach appears in a cloud, and he stays there. That's right, he stays put for a while. How long? I'll tell you, I'll show you. Sends to messengers, to witnesses, to deputies. That's right. The word in Hebrew, malach, is from the 4397 in Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. Malach means ambassador. It can also mean, as the Gentiles say, angel. It can also mean king. Messenger in Malachi 3 is how King James Version states it. Envoy, prophet, priest, teacher, dispatch as a deputy. It says all of that in Strong's Concordance. So if he sends two witnesses, he is dispatching two deputies, is what he's doing. Okay? To gather the elect, aka Israel. Mashiach stays put in the cloud until the two deputies are finished. Watch this. On the flip side, but and now, after Israel's tribulation, because it says of those days, shall the sun be darkened and the moon not give her light. But Henry, it doesn't say that. Watch this. You will see right here it says, then the tribulation upon the Gentiles begins. You don't believe it? I'll show it to you. The sun and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the sky, or maybe nukes shall fall from the sky. And the powers of the heavens, the atmosphere, shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the sky. And then shall all the tribes of the earth be cut off. Cut off. Now we go to Luke 21:25. It reads it slightly different. 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars, and upon the earth distress. Upon what? The Gentiles. So the tribulation upon the Gentiles begins. Proof? Proof. Let's go to, we got to go back to put this back to Matityahu. We're going to go to Daniel 12. No excuses, folks. It's coming. There's nothing that can be done to stop it. The Gentiles have rejected the truth. They've chased after Satan, whose name is Jesus. And now they're going to suffer their great tribulation. The time is coming that Michael will stand up, the great Tsar, chief, which stands for the children of your people. And there shall come a time of adversary, trouble upon the Goy, upon the Gentiles. There's coming a great tribulation upon the Gentiles. It does not say, not such as since there was a nation, nor it does not say that. It says there shall be a time of adversary trouble upon the Gentiles. And at that time, your people shall slip away. Yoel 2 talks about it. We'll go there. And we'll see the bombs dropping. In the after part, that is after Israel's tribulation is over. That is when reconciliation upon Israel begins. I will pour out my ruach upon flesh of your sons and your daughters. So he's telling Yoel, the prophet of Israel, that he is going to pour out the ruach upon the flesh of your sons and your daughters, and they will prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. Upon the servants and upon the handmaids also in those days I will pour out my ruach. I will show wonders. Or it says, set wonders in the sky and in the earth. Blood in the sky, blood in the earth, fire in the sky, fire in the earth, and tomorrow, palm like columns of smoke. Okay. Column, pillar, palm tree. Palm like columns of smoke is how it should read. Okay? And that comes from nukes. Facing the great and terrible day of Jehovah comes. Those who proclaim Shem Jehovah, not the name of the Lord. The name of the Lord is unacceptable. Those who proclaim or read or call upon, or all three, Shem Jehovah, shall be delivered, shall slip away. Malat. So we just read in Daniel that Daniel's people shall slip away. In Mount Zion, in Jerusalem, shall be deliverance. As Jehovah, not the Lord, has said, in that those survivors of Israel he will call. Okay? Not might. It's written in Deuteronomy 30. The redemption, the new covenant for Israel was written in the Torah. Deuteronomy 30. Read it. Now, we go back to Mattityahu 24. And he shall send, as King James Version puts it, angels. Well, see, the word angels only means heavenly messengers in English. Or is it also in Greek too? Well, they say a messenger, an angel of whatever, and or of a demon. Okay? But you see, here's the problem. He was speaking Hebrew. The Hebrew word malach means, you can look it up, 4397 in Strong's Concordance, means ambassador, angel, king, messenger, envoy, prophet, priest, teacher, dispatch as a deputy. Well, when you read this, you realize that he's dispatching them as deputies. Okay? And they, the messengers, with the great sound of a shofar, not a trumpet, they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky to the other. Where to? If you bothered to read the prophets, to the land of Israel. If you bothered to read Isaiah 60, to the land of Israel. If you bothered to read Jeremiah 30 and 31, it would be the land of Israel. If you bothered to read Yoel, Ezekiel 38 and 39, you would know what it is. And if you'd bother to read Romans 11, you would know that the church is not Israel. Romans 11, verse 25 through 27, 28, however far it goes. Here's how it is written. I have memorized it. Speaking to the Romans, he said, Paul said, "For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that partial blindness has happened to Israel, until the time of the Gentiles comes to its end. And so all Israel shall be saved, for out of Zion shall come the deliverer, and will turn unrighteousness from Jacob. For this is my covenant with them." See Jeremiah 31, verses 31, 34 for reference. "When I shall take away their sins." Okay? Now, there's something I want to show you here, where he says, "Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man, and then shall all the tribes of the earth be cut off, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of the sky with power and great glory." Look at this. The word coming. Appear. To enter. To go to. He appears in a cloud, not coming in a cloud. He goes to a cloud. The word coming is not apropos in this particular juncture. It's a wrong word. So, what he does, they shall see the Son of Man entering a cloud. It is a singular cloud, not the clouds, as if he's moving from cloud to cloud to cloud. Singular, right here you can see it. Nephile, a cloud of the sky with power and great glory. And then he will send his messengers with a great sound. And who are these messengers he's going to send? The two messengers, the two witnesses, as they say. Yochanan was given a vision, a series of visions, and one of them was, "It was given unto me a reed like unto a rod, and the messenger stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of Elohim, and the altar them that worship therein. But the court which is outside the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and they shall tread down the holy city for 42 months. And I will give power to my two witnesses. They are therefore his deputies." His envoys, his deputies. And they are also prophets. That's right. It says they shall prophesy. Okay? So we look at the word here, malach, meaning ambassador, angel, king, messenger, envoy, prophet, priest, teacher, dispatch as a deputy. So he's going to dispatch as deputies 2 prophets, 2 witnesses. And they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks, lampstands standing before the Elohim of the earth. That is pointing directly to Eliah the prophet, because Eliah and Elisha, both the prophets, said, the Elohim of the earth before whom I stand. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth, or they will call fire down from the sky like Eliah the prophet did, and devours their enemies. If any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. They have the power to shut the sky, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. How many days is the days of their prophecy? 1,260 days, 3.5 years. And they have the power over water to turn them into blood, and to smite the earth with plagues as often as they will. If you can read the last half, or the last 1/3 of Isaiah 66, it does not say 2 witnesses. It says he's going to send fugitives to do exactly this. But to bring all Israel back home into using every, maybe I have to go to there. All right. Isaiah 66. For behold, Jehovah will come with fire and with his chariot, like a whirlwind, to render his anger and his fury and his rebuke with flames. On who? You'll see. For by fire and by his sword will Jehovah judge flesh, and the slain of Jehovah shall be many. Who are these people who he's going to judge? Well, apparently the Gentiles, because it says those who eat swine flesh. And those that eat the mouse will be consumed together. I know their works and their thoughts, and it shall come to pass that I will gather all the Gentiles and the tongues, and they will come and see my glory. How is this going to happen? I'll show you in just a minute. And I will set a sign among them, and I will send. Here we go. Shalach, send. Escaped ones. Well, we know it's going to be 2 deputies, 2 messengers, to the Gentiles, to Tarshish first. Now it actually says in Isaiah 60 to Tarshish first, and it mentions Tarshish first. Where is Tarshish? Tarshish is beyond the pillars of Heracles. Look it up. And when you realize what that means, it means all of the lands west of the Strait of Gibraltar. First, United States, Britain, and South America will be the 2 witnesses' first victims. That's right, victims. And then it mentions all the other nations, including Greece and the coastlands in the Mediterranean Sea, to hear my fame, to see my glory. Does not say, neither have seen my, to see my glory. And those two witnesses shall declare my glory among the Gentiles. They shall prophesy for 3.5 years. And what are they going to do? And they will bring all your brethren, that's Israel, for an offering unto Jehovah out of all the Gentiles, upon Sus, a horse as leaping, also a swallow from its rapid flight. By land, air, and sea is how it's going to happen. As you read in Isaiah 60, where it says, "And what do I see flying in the clouds, like doves to their windows? They are the ships of Tarshish, flying ships of Tarshish." That's right, flying ships of Tarshish, airliners, bringing Israel home. In this particular chapter, it says, on covered wagons, on whatever it takes to bring them in chariots, covered wagons, mules, and upon swift beasts to my holy mountain Jerusalem, says Jehovah. And the children of Israel will bring an offering, will come as an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Jehovah. And the children of Israel will become priests and Levites, a kingdom of priests and Levites, because they are now the Levites, so to speak, of the world. All right? Now, where was I? He shall send his messengers from the great sound of his shofar, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky unto the other. That's right, on airliners and whatever else is available. So, when they have finished their testimony after 3.5 years of gathering all Israel, the beast of the Mediterranean Sea, that's what the Abyssos means, Rome, shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. Jerusalem was never called a great city. And there is a secret in this passage that I will show you that nobody's ever considered, which is figuratively called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Moshiach was crucified, was starud. Did you know that Yehoshua was starud outside the city and not inside the city? So it's not talking about Jerusalem. Jerusalem has never been called a great city. It's a small city. Rome is a great city. Rome is figuratively called Sodom and Egypt because Rome was the one who dragged the people of Israel, dragged the Jews into captivity, just as Egypt dragged the people of Israel into captivity. Open your eyes, folks. And they of the people, and the kingdoms and the tongues, and the who? The Gentiles. Left their bodies shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets, yes, prophets, tormented them that dwelled on the earth. Well, if they would have just given up the people of Israel freely, which goes to the next one, which is proof that they didn't give them up freely. Now, this particular chapter is a summary from when Yehoshua was born until the two witnesses were killed. That's right. Let me say that again. Revelation 12 is a summary of when Yehoshua was born to when the two witnesses were killed. But wait a minute, Henry, it doesn't say two witnesses. Doesn't have to. You see, neither does Isaiah 66 say two witnesses. The dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, and he was cast into the earth when Yehoshua, Mashiach, ascended. Because there was no place for him anymore. See, he still thinks he's the one. But see, Satan, aka Jesus, is no longer the one. Yehoshua is the one. He persecuted the woman, the Jews, who brought forth the man-child. The Jews brought forth the man-child. The church did not. And to this woman who brought forth the man-child was given two wings of a great eagle. Now this persecution occurred from 60, somewhere around 70 standard time, they call it AD, until now. For over, what is it? For nearly 2,000 years. And to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, that she might fly. Yes, here we go with that word fly. Yes, on airliners. Ding, ding, ding. Are the lights on and nobody home? Can you not see? Can you not see in Isaiah 60? Who are these that fly as a cloud, as doves to the windows? The coastlands. Wait. The ships of Tarshish first. We just read. They're going to go to Tarshish first. And right here it says the ships of Tarshish first. They are going to be flying. Flying. The ships are going to fly. So the woman, Israel, is flying on the ships of Tarshish into the wilderness, back to her place where she is nourished there. It's nourished there, and I'm not going to add subtract here like they did. Also, a time, a season, and a half a time season. From the face of the serpent, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away from the flood. First invasion in the future. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Jehovah Elohim and have the testimony of Yehoshua, not Jesus Christ. There will be only two on the earth that have his testimony, in my opinion, because it states that they have the testimony of Yehoshua. The Christians don't. The Jews they know and they believe that a Moshiach is coming to help them and save them. They know this. But they don't realize his name is Yehoshua, a name that they use to name their sons continually, a name that means Jehovah is salvation. Jesus does not mean Jehovah is salvation. So where was I? Okay. All right. Now, so after 3 days and a half, the Ruach of life from Jehovah entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from the sky saying unto them, Come up here. And they ascended up to the sky in a cloud, like Yehoshua. And that begins Yehoshua's descent, folks. This is when you can read the seventh shofar sounds. And their enemies beheld them, and at the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake was slain of 7,000 men. And the remnant was affrighted. The remnant, that would be the people of the Jews in Israel, were affrighted and were awestruck, and gave glory to the Elohim of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe comes quickly. Yes, all Israel is now gathered. And what happens next? What happens next? Well, this right here is right here. Verse 18 says, the Gentiles were angry. The Gentiles were angry. Right here. We give thanks to you, Jehovah Elohim Almighty, not O Lord God Almighty, Jehovah Elohim Almighty. You have charge, you are in charge to come, that because you have taken your great power and you now reign. And what happens when Jehovah reigns? And I showed you in Martin Luther's scripts how he despised Jehovah. He hated that name, and he called it the name of a swine. That's what he did. And he was a Catholic priest. That means Christians despise him. They hate him. They are angry. But Jehovah's wrath has come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that you should give your reward to your servants, the prophets, and to the Kodesh, that's the Jews, that's the people of Israel, and anyone that fears your name, small and great, and that you should destroy them who destroyed the Arets, who destroyed the Arets. 70 AD will tell you who destroyed the Arets. Rome. And the temple of Elohim was opened in the sky, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his covenant, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. All right, and so you got summary after summary here. And then you go to more summary. The 7 messengers with 7 plagues. So you had a first, right here, as I pointed out, 2 witnesses bring plagues for 1260 days to force the Gentiles to bring Israel to the wilderness. Number 4, dragon was wroth with the woman, sends an invasion of water or an army, but the Eretz swallows up the flood and the army. Obviously, that's very likely a invasion of men, because the other prophets point toward that. So that's one invasion. Beast kills to 2 Malach, messengers, deputies, witnesses. But then comes another invasion. 2 invasions, folks. Let me show you. Now this is after the great nuclear war. You would think that mankind would be remorseful, but no. The Gentiles have become the zombies of the zombie apocalypse. Okay. First 6 bowls of wrath. What happens? Well, you have vials. You have plagues. You have the 5th messenger pours out his vial upon the seat, the throne of the beast. What is that? The Vatican. And his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and they blasphemed the Elohim of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their evil deeds. And the 6th messenger poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and that the water was dried up, so that the way of the king, singular, of not the east, but Anatolia. Right there, there you see it right there, Anatolia. That's Turkey. Might be prepared. And then I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the Europeans, Rome, and out of the mouth of the false prophet himself, the man at the Vatican. For they are the spirits of devils working signs, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world to gather them into the battle of the great day of Jehovah Elohim Almighty. The second invasion. That's right. 2 coming invasions of Israel. The first one, the earth is going to swallow it up in an earthquake, as it's written about in Ezekiel 38 and 39. In fact, I would say Ezekiel 38 and 39 cover both invasions. It's just here you read it's much more detailed than in Ezekiel 38 and 39. So regardless of which way it happens, there is going to be a nuclear war upon the earth. And right after the nuclear war, or maybe it's an hour and a day and a month and a year, it may be over a year after the nuclear war before the 2 witnesses are sent. The 2 deputies. The 2 dispatched deputies are sent. Okay? So what I'm trying to warn you is this. The Hill says, Ukraine takes war to Russia. Have the nukes launched yet? So they're expecting nukes to launch. The Hill is expecting nukes to launch, folks. And if you read all of these articles, you will see that there is no end to this war. And that, was there another one? Was it this one? No, that wasn't that one. I might be right up underneath my nose. Kremlin Trump aides raise nuclear war fears after Ukraine drone strike. Putin fighting the war of yesterday after Ukraine. So in other words, the very existence of Russia is now threatened. And they said, the Russians said that if that occurs, they would be forced to use a nuke. Now, what happens when Russia uses a nuke? We can go to what happens if Russia nukes Ukraine. What would NATO do if... What? Oh man. NATO do if Russia nukes Ukraine? Remember, they said, has a nukes launched yet? NATO's response. I'm not sure if this is going to... I have seen it. I have pulled it up. NATO condemns in the strongest possible terms Russia's brutal and unprovoked war of aggression against Ukraine, which is an independent, peaceful, whatever. Was that it? Oh, I know how to do this. NATO invoke Article 5 if Russia nukes Ukraine? If, according to AI, if Russia were to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine, NATO's Article 5 would likely be invoked, potentially leading to a wider conflict. Why would it be invoked? They say it's because the nuclear material would waft over into NATO countries by air. That an attack on one NATO member is considered an attack on all, obligating them all to take action, including armed force. See? Then what I'm telling you is, if Russia launches a nuke on Ukraine, this would turn into a wider war. The NATO would claim that they would then invade Russia by conventional means, and of course if they did that, then we know what Russia would do with the rest of its nukes. Folks, I should not have to spell this out to you. But one way or another, nuclear war is going to lead to the next step. The two witnesses, the two deputies that are going to inflict even more pain and suffering on the Gentiles. Even more, even worse. than the nuclear war they inflicted upon themselves. So I ask you, have you been studying? Are you ready? Do you know what to do? When this time comes, are you prepared? Do you have a year's supply of food and water? Or not?